Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney. I'm a size inclusive crochet designer, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to fix a pretty common occurrence in crochet sweaters, and that is a stretching neckline. I see this happen most often in circle yoke or raglan sweaters that are worked from the top down. When we work an entire sweater, especially in crochet, it's quite heavy, and the weight of that sweater, the bulk of the weight of it, comes right up onto that neckline, and it can pull that neckline out and down in ways that we don't necessarily love. A stretching neckline doesn't necessarily mean that you made a mistake. There are a few things that could cause this. First, it could be a gauge issue, which is kind of a mistake, but whether that sweater starts with chains or foundation stitches, it can be challenging to maintain that gauge perfect right from the get-go. It could also just be the fibers stretching over time with wear. The weight of a crochet sweater is quite a lot, so it's all pulling on that neckline. And the fix for it is super easy. I'm actually going to give you two fixes in today's video. The first one is just a simple, easy, quick fix. You'll be done it in less than 5 minutes. But this really only works for things that have a fair bit of ease in the underarm. If you're wanting to fix a sweater that is already pretty high in your underarm, you'll probably want to opt for option number 2. But for option number 1, if you have a couple of inches of ease in that underarm, this is what is going to be the fix for you. And why I'm saying you need that ease in the underarm for fix number 1 is because fix number 1 is not going to add anything to the collar. It's just going to cinch it together. And when we pull that collar up, it brings the underarm, the sleeves, the body all in a little bit. And if that's already fitting snug in your armpit, you don't want it more snug. Option number 1, though, is only going to change the neckline by a little bit. It's not going to make a drastic difference. It's going to cinch it in a little bit, and it's going to give more structure to the neckline. Option number 2 is going to add more stitches to the top of your sweater. Whether it's worked top down or bottom up, this option 2 solution should work for you. If it's bottom up, it'll be easier. If it's top down, you'll have to get a little bit creative, but I will give you some tips for how to do it. So without further ado, let's take a look at option number 1. For option 1, you're going to turn your sweater inside out, and you're going to grab some scrap yarn in the same color that you made your sweater in. I'm going to do mine in an accent color because it will be easier for you to see for the purposes of this video. The next thing you're going to need is a crochet hook that is 1 to 3 millimeters smaller than the crochet hook that you used to make your sweater. The size of hook that you use depends on how much you want to shrink that neckline. The smaller the crochet hook you use, the more it's going to shrink that neckline. You do want to be careful though. If you shrink the neckline too much, it won't fit over your head. It might take a little bit of trial and error for you to get it exactly how you want it. The first thing you're going to do is create a slip knot with your scrap yarn, and then you're going to attach it to the top of your sweater. Now, this sweater for me began with chains and double crochets. I think I'm just going to work between the stitches. You could choose to work inside of the chains the way that you worked the stitches. Say you started with foundation stitches here, you could work through the bottom of the foundation stitch, in between the foundation stitches. It's kind of up to you how you attach it, and it'll change how it looks a little bit. So after doing a few of these stitches, flip it over onto the other side, see how it looks, and see if you like the look of it. If not, try attaching it somewhere else until you get the look that you're looking for. All right, let's begin. So I've made that slip knot. I am just going to try going in between the stitches because that's the easiest option for me. Nice big holes there. So I just pull my slip knot through, and all you're going to do for this option is just slip stitch through each stitch all the way around. So I'm going to put my hook between those 2 stitches, yarn over, pull it through, and pull it through that slip knot. Then do that in the next stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch all the way around the yoke. So on the inside, you'll see those slip stitches kind of on the surface, and on the outside, it's just like one extra string of yarn around the top of your sweater. Again, if you do this in the same color, you won't even see it on the outside of your sweater. When you reach the end of the round, you'll just slip stitch back through that first stitch and fasten off. And I'll show you what this looks like on. Here is what the neckline looks like after option 1. You can see it is quite a bit closer to my neck, which is what we were hoping for. And you can see it's a little bit closer in my underarm area because it's brought that whole yoke up. This would be basically invisible if I hadn't done it in an accent color, and it is my favorite way to fix a stretching neckline by far. But if this didn't give you enough cinching, or it's causing any weird rippling, or you don't have the ease in the underarm area to cinch up, then I have option number 2 for you, and here it is. For option number 2, you are going to use the same size hook that you used for your sweater. And I recommend attaching your yarn at one of the 2 sides, like where your shoulders are, for this option. It wasn't super important for option 1. For option 2, you will end up with a bit of a seam, so I typically try to either line it up with the seam of the sweater itself or just put it on the shoulder where nobody will see it. For option 2, you will need more yarn than you did for option 1, but it's going to depend on how much we are altering that neckline for how much yarn you're actually going to end up needing and using. Essentially what we're doing for option 2 is creating additional rounds at the neckline. And there's a number of different ways that you can do that. So with this, you can see my first row here has kind of this 1x1 ribbing, front post and back post. So I could choose to match that. I could also attach a ribbing that goes this way, but then it won't match the ribbing that's on the hem and the cuffs. So probably we'll steer away from that. Maybe you want to do that though. If you don't have ribbing at the neckline, maybe you'll just attach and just do the same stitch that is in the body. It's totally up to you, whichever stitch you want to use to achieve this. Now, I'm only going to show you what it looks like to add 1 round of stitches. If you are needing more than 1 round of stitches, you may have to work a decrease in as well here. I wouldn't recommend decreasing by any more than 20% from here until you finish what you want to finish for the collar. So say you have 100 stitches around the neckline, I wouldn't go to any less than 80, or it might start to create some ripples and weird texture up towards the top of your sweater. Adding the stitches and doing decreases is going to add length to the collar and decrease it at the same time. Just make sure that you spread out any decreasing that you do evenly around the yoke. I'm not going to do that though. I'm just going to show you some plain old stitches around the yoke. Enough talking, let's show it off. So as always, I begin with a slip knot. I'm going to attach to my shoulder here. Now you can either go in, just like for option 1, you can go into the foundation chain or the base of the foundation stitch if you use foundation stitches. For this one, I think I am actually going to go into the chain rather than in between the stitches because I'm going to work onto the stitches as I go around the top of the yoke. So I'm attaching my yarn to this stitch. Then you will do the number of chains required for the height of your stitch. Mine is a double crochet, so I am going to chain 2, and then I'm going to work into that same space, working that stitch. So working my double crochet into that space. I want to match the texture of this yoke around the top. So this one you can see is a post stitch that bumps out to the front. So I'm going to do a front post double crochet around that stitch. Then I'm going to continue that pattern all the way around. Again, you should match this to whatever the stitch is for your sweater, or whatever you want this collar to look like. Say you want to add ribbing to the collar, then maybe you do front post and back post double crochet around. You are the boss here for this modification. And I will meet you back here when I have finished this round to show you how to finish it off. When you reach the end of your round, you will just slip stitch into the top of the first stitch, and you will either fasten off or begin another round. The more rounds that you do, the more likely you are going to need to do some decreasing, unless you're trying to build a collar, cowl, turtleneck, something that's more tube-like. If you want to keep it flat to your body, you will have to do some decreases, and it will take a little bit of playing for you to know how much to decrease. So if you do want to do more rounds, you'll just do your chains here and do your stitches around again, and I'll show you what this looks like. This is what the neckline looks like with option 2. Obviously, this would be a lot less obvious if I was working in the same color that I worked the rest of my sweater in, but for demonstration purposes, we did that accent color. So I have brought the neckline in closer to my neck without cinching up the arms at all, because I just added extra length here. The more rounds you add, the closer it's going to get to that neck. If you were way out here, you might have needed to add 5 rounds to achieve this same result. This style is pretty well invisible on a top-down sweater. The stitches are going in opposite directions, but it is pretty challenging to see. Nobody's looking at it that closely, and it is completely invisible for those that are worked bottom up because you're just continuing the stitches up closer to the neckline than you initially did when you made this sweater. And that's all for today's tutorial video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like, comment your questions about stretching necklines down below, and subscribe to the channel for future educational crochet content, vlog style videos, and some upcoming free patterns. Thanks for watching. Happy crocheting. Bye-bye.